All right, so check this out. What about if I told you there was a platform that exists that blends sports, God, wisdom, insight, and most importantly, a guidepost for your lamp of living? What about if I told you there was a platform that shares information wrapped around things we know now, we wish we knew when we were younger? Well, I'm glad you're here. This is called the Endzone Club Podcast, where our sole purpose exists to help you go from discovering your potential to actually fulfilling your purpose. And I'm your host, Anthony Mitchell. And I invite you, before we even get into today's content, I like to encourage you to like, share, rate, subscribe to today's content. We got something that's going to get you going. But before we do so, also feel free to click one of the links in the bio. You can even donate if you find this to be entertaining or a valuable resource. And also, you can find it in your heart to give us a positive review or even send us an email and tell us what you thought about today's content. Hey, buckle your safety belts. We're getting ready to go live in 3, 2, 1. Before we go live, though, let's hear a word from our sponsors.
Hi guys, this is Palmer Mitchell, owner of Curated by Carrington, and I'll be inviting you guys to buy from my business where I sell crocheted items and commissions.
You can actually be sure to follow her on social media, where she makes some of the greatest crocheted items, from hats, purses, bags, clothing that you'll find this side of the Mississippi River. Again, everybody, this is Anthony Mitchell, host of the Endzone Club Podcast, which was a platform we developed going back to 2020. And it's got its roots even going back earlier than that. During the times of COVID, we put together something that we felt like would be beneficial to keeping our voice in the ears of our supporters, even if we were not allowed to physically meet. For those of you who are new to this platform, we are a community-driven outreach initiative that has been around a long time. However, we officially created a name for it 2020. Before then, we've been doing a lot in the community under the umbrella and guise of our church. However, just to be able to be more diverse in our offerings and to be able to go into platforms that like to separate God and religion, here we are. One of our heart's desires is to create platforms, especially for young people, to be and to give them an opportunity to come into connection and contact with people of all kind of influences and walks of life. And by doing so, we feel like whether or not you are a kid that has money, you have opportunities, whether you have just the ability to get out of your small environment, if we can't get you out, maybe we can bring things to you. And then by doing so, you're not missing just the same opportunities some that are more fortunate would have. So with that in mind, we've created these free platforms, from free NFL football camps, baseball camps. We do dance camps. We're getting ready to launch art camps. And then we've also worked with some gun violence platforms. We do a homeless blanket drive every year. We're on year 3 of that. We've done a lot of different things. This isn't all. I mean, of course, we've done career fairs. We've done collegiate fairs trying to get enrollment up. We've done back to school giveaways, and we have done a lot. However, this is part of our commission, so we are not looking for pats on the back. However, sometimes in life, as we're doing what we're doing, we meet some phenomenal individuals that have great voices, shared stories, as well as insightful nuggets from their journeys that has always been inspiring to us, but has caused us to aspire to do more. And recently, we've done an episode here on this podcast compiled with some of these great voices, where we had a specific target of wanting to reach younger men especially, which also I'm sure there's a pour over into the young ladies as well. But we wanted to put together something specifically for the inspiration of young men, and I called it was a two-part episode called Evening with the Fellas and then Night with the Fellas. And in this doing so, I had guys from different walks that shared parts of their stories that were wrapped around things they know now that they wish they knew when they were younger. And what I'm getting ready to do is getting ready to pick just a few of those videos out, put them in audio format. I want you guys to be able to hear it. And the reason I am re-releasing this content is because with every episode we post, there are some people that only pick up this podcast based on that one episode they hear. But I feel like some of this information that was disseminated shouldn't be lost. So I want to put out some of the better quality audio pieces that I was able to surmise. And I want to put this out. So what you're getting ready to hear is just a re-exerted listening of our night and evening with the fellas. And I encourage you guys, if you're listening to this content and you're thinking, hey, I've got something I would also like to share with your listeners, if you'll look in the heading or any of the bios, we always include our email address where you're able to reach out to me, as well as some of our social media links where you can get a visual on what we're building, what we're doing in the community, and you can get a greater idea of who we are, what we are. But if you feel like you've got something you would like to share, now is your time. So let's do so. But hey, with that, I'm going back in time and we're getting ready to go live with this content starting now.
Man, I just want to really say something to you as far as what you're doing, brother, because what you're doing as far as you and your wife and what you guys are putting out there for these kids, it is truly awesome. And since I met you, we haven't had a chance to meet in person, but since I've met you and I've talked with you and I've seen what you're putting out there, brother, that is truly a blessing. And continue doing what you're doing, brother. And if it's anything that I can continue to be a part of and help you with, brother, I'm there with you.
Jump in here, Kelvin, real quick and give us some nuggets.
Man, to my younger self, I want to give you a word of encouragement. It's we so often fooled as men into thinking it's about conquering so many different women. But the reality is about finding that one woman that's going to help you achieve your dreams, gonna help you achieve your goals. She's going to keep you grounded. You know, nothing in life will determine how far you go or how low you go, like the woman you choose. If you got the right one on your team, the sky's the limit. If you got the wrong one on your team, you'll never get off the ground. You got to find that right one. Stick with her. Treat her right. Love her every day in a different way. Don't worry about loving a million different women one way. Figure out how to find one woman and love her a million different ways.
Can I get somebody that grew up in a less than traditional circumstance to speak to young men that might be growing up, maybe, for example, without a father in the home? Who wants to touch on that one?
Something I learned early on in life about manhood is that others will depend on us to lead in solving various issues that arise in our daily lives. For me, growing up in a single-parent home taught me how to become the type of person who was available to assist in solving a problem, to be ready to be strong and courageous in the face of opposition and attentive to the needs of others. Now, I was too young at the time to fully understand the importance of what was subconsciously being implemented in the developmental stages of becoming a man. Throughout those boyhood years, I would obtain many essential lessons that carried over into my now manhood through failures, hardships, and regrets. I learned that those mishaps were not my enemy, but a vital part of maturity. We must learn that failure is a part of life that teaches us resilience, and making mistakes isn't the sum total of who we are or who we will become. You see, most every invention, piece of artwork, or anything created started from nothing, but then became something. Through trial and error, an idea becomes reality. A mistake becomes a lesson learned to then become a voice to guide others along a different and better path. Thomas Edison attempted thousands of times to create the light bulb. He said, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." I say that to say this: we as men, both young and old, must become the type of person, the type of leader who is present and ready to stand in the gap for those who cannot stand on their own. We must become protectors of the innocent and providers for those that are in our lives. Now, this doesn't mean that we are called to deplete ourselves and trying to be Superman, because we are not. There must be a balance of being a leader and knowing when we are called to be led in seasons of rest. So, fellas, become a man who leads righteously with his whole heart for the betterment of those who we will encounter throughout this life. It's vital that we become this type of leader.
I want to dig a little deeper into today's conversation because I feel like life is choice driven. And a lot of times the takeaways that we provide the kids are just sunny, peachy experiences. We never share the darker side of making bad choices and decisions. Can I get one of you guys real briefly to just get transparent and talk about some of the other sides of making bad choices?
I appreciate you asking me to contribute a little bit to the podcast. And if I could go back and tell my younger self anything, it would be to prioritize a relationship with God. I would tell my younger self that nothing's going to fill that emptiness inside of you. Not drugs, not alcohol, not relationships, not possessions, because um, I've had a decent job. I've had a wife and kids, and something was still missing, and and I tried to fill that with drugs and alcohol, and have lost a lot in life. I just celebrated my 41st birthday today, so today's my birthday as I'm recording this, and I look back, and this is not the life that I had envisioned myself. Being 41, living in a sober living, with my second divorce, restraining order on my wife and kids, and supervised visitation, things of that nature. Um, but what I do have today is a little bit of hope and a little bit of serenity and a little bit of peace of mind for the future. And I have a perspective. And I think that's what another thing I would tell my younger self is that perspective is a lot. Your attitude determines your altitude. And that, you know, life doesn't owe you anything. You're not just to be handed anything. Anything worth having is you have to work hard at it for it. And, but regardless, my success isn't defined by like material possessions and things like that, Um, really today, I just try to do the next right thing, I do the work, do the footwork, and I leave the results of that up to God, and however things turn out, that's the way they're supposed to turn out. And I know that God's plan's bigger than me. I would tell my younger self that you're not the center of the universe. God has a purpose for your life. You're an integral part of this world, or you wouldn't be here. You have a purpose. And Mark Twain said the two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. And I have a purpose today. It's to love God and to love everyone around me, specifically, to help alcoholic and drug addicts, because I'm uniquely qualified to do that because I've lived that life. I've walked a mile in their shoes. I've felt how they felt. I've lost everything, but I'm still alive, and I don't live that way anymore. So it's not about what you get back, what you don't get back. The relationships may never be restored. Um, but I can get through anything today. I can get through life on life's terms, provided I follow a few simple rules and that I make that relationship and that trust in God a priority. So yeah, I would tell my younger self to cultivate that relationship with God, and with people, people that are going to point you in the right direction, and don't listen to everything that filters through your head. The way you think about things may not be reality. In fact, it may be far removed from the truth. So I guess I would tell my younger self, don't believe, run your best ideas by somebody you trust. And that's all I've got. Thank you for letting me participate, Anthony. Love you, brother.
As alluded to earlier, one of the guys talked about growing up without a father in the home and some things that he learned the harder way. Let me throw this out here again to another young gentleman that had a similar experience. If you don't mind talking about more to the point, how you overcame what you came up without.
What's up, brothers? My name is Dennis, and I grew up in rural Mississippi in a small town with dirt roads, but I had some big dreams. My father was murdered when I was 3, and my mom did everything she could to keep us going. But life taught me early on that the world won't always hand you a fair chance, but it will always give you a choice. You can keep fighting, or you can give up. For a long time, I thought being a man meant surviving, keeping quiet, being tough, and never asking for help. But that kind of mindset isolates you. It makes you carry a weight that you were never meant to carry alone. Here's what I wish I knew about manhood when I was younger. Being a man isn't about how much you can take. It's about how much you can build. It's about discipline, self-respect, and surrounding yourself with people who make you better. Real men don't run from wisdom. They seek it. Real men don't compete with their brothers. They connect with them. When I finally found mentors, men who corrected me, encouraged me, and held me accountable, that's when everything changed. They helped me see that leadership isn't about being in charge. It's about taking responsibility. They taught me that your legacy isn't what you earn. It's what you pour into others. So young kings, find a mentor. Learn from someone who's walked the path that you're trying to take. And when you grow, reach back and be that mentor for someone else. Because no man rises alone. We build, we lead, and we rise together. That's manhood.
While I am in studio recording, I will say I've got 3 entrepreneurs / coaches with me that I'm going to just allow them to kind of come rapid fire succession and let them share some things that they've got. And it's going to be some good information. So buckle in even more. Let's just kind of jump into this even further. Let's give it over to our coaches and entrepreneurs to share the next 3 bits and nuggets of wisdom.
Hey, what's going on, my brother? So to answer your question, it's something that came up recently that had resonated with me about a couple of weeks ago. And it's, we have the beginning, the middle, and the end. So just a word of wisdom is that a lot of people will be there for you at the beginning. A lot of people will be there for you at the end. But nobody really be there for you in the middle. In the middle is that process. That middle is finding yourself. That middle is working on your calling, your purpose, the journey, the challenges, the obstacles, the comparison to others, trying to find your own identity, trying to figure out what's your DNA, being around people that's going to elevate you and help you grow and mature instead of being under people that just either try to live through you or just try to keep you stagnant or keep you down simply because they didn't succeed in their life. So it's very important to have not just counselors, but a certain amount of counselors, that's going to bring quality into your life. So that was the main thing that I was just thinking about is that don't compare yourself to others. Stay within your purpose. Stay persistent. Stay consistent in what you're trying to do because you're not going to live a perfect life. That's something I had to learn about, too, that you're not going to live a perfect life. So it's okay to fail. It's okay to be vulnerable to certain people. It's okay to show certain emotions because we be around people that, we get criticized, we get chastised a lot, and sometimes people want you to live in this masculinity and alpha male manner. But, hey, we human beings, too. So that was just a few things that came, what I was just thinking about as I was driving back home that came to my mind.
Definitely, to any of the young people that may be listening and even the parents, it's important that you encourage your kids if you're a parent in a positive way. And for the young people, just know that you already have a gift. You may have not discovered it yet, but the people around you know what your gift is. So when they tell you you're great, don't say, no, I don't think so. I'm not that good. Accept that gift. When someone says, "Oh man, great shot," accept that blessing, accept that word of encouragement. If someone calls you pretty or handsome, accept that. Embrace that God has given you a great ability and a great gift, and He gave you promise. And if you can accept who you are as an individual and the gifts that you have as an individual, and then as we said at the beginning of this conversation, your gift will make room for you. It may not come the next day, tomorrow, or the next year, but it will reveal itself unto you as it was revealed to me.
If I had to go back and talk to my younger self, it would be definitely about time and letting time work for me, not wasting time and not allowing others around me to waste my time. When you're younger, you really feel like you have all the time in the world to do things. Talking to my sons, I have talked in frames of 3, 5, and 10. In 3 years, you will be here. In 5 years, you will be there. And then in 10 years, because usually that's the way things work. If you're really going to get somewhere, you have to think in that time frame. And if you want to be somewhere at a certain time, you got to think 3 years, it's going to take me this. Because a lot of times we think if we come up with something or we feel like we have something to do, that it can get done in a certain amount of time. And if you don't really work at it in increments of 3, 5, and 10, a lot of times you miss it. So you got to know how to move with time and allowing yourself to work out what you need in a matter of time. Because usually it takes longer to get to where you want to go than you think. So you have to be able to ebb and flow with time and let it be beneficiary to you than losing it. So if I had to go back and just kind of talk to myself, it would definitely be about time and about how I utilize my time, whether that's dealing with my friends, dealing with my ideas, dealing with my goals, taking it a lot more seriously. Like a lot of times we say, oh yeah, in 5 years, I'd like to do this. But what are the steps to get to that point? You know, what will it take for me to get there? And will I have the allotted time to get there? Do I give myself space enough to grow to get there? Because sometimes we want to get to a destination. We might not know how to get there. So we go through, growing pains. There's a learning graph to get to where you want to go. And then once you kind of learn the skill, then what will it take for you to utilize the skill? And then what will it take for you to accomplish the skill within time? So time is a thing that if you utilize it correctly, it can be a benefit to you. Because when it's not, it's definitely something that works against you if you don't utilize it correctly.
Before we continue with today's conversation, I do have to say our next three voices are coming from a couple of my former NFL alumni brothers who have worked with me hard in some facet of ministry. Before we hear from them, though, I do have to take a break. We got to get some water, guys. And then we're going to jump back into it. No other voices will be heard after the break except those guys. So, yeah, let's give it up for them. But, hey, let's go to break real quickly.
Hey there. Did you know that this podcast has a supporters club? By becoming a supporter of the show, you can gain access to exclusive content and play an active role in helping the podcaster continue producing the content you love. See the link in the episode description for more details. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Hi, this is PK, and you're listening to the Endzone Club Podcast.
All right, y'all, we're back from our water break. In the studio here today, I have Anthony Smith, followed by Eric Matthews, and ending with Walt Harris, three of my NFL alumni buddies. I'm going to just go ahead and ask you guys, because before the break, we were talking about what are some things you know now you wish you knew when you were younger. Sorry, guys. Y'all jump in rapid fire succession, and y'all jump on that too. Cue the music.
One thing that I would say, and man, you had me. This is a good one. Take advantage of every opportunity. A lot of the times, there were times. Now thinking back on it in my career and stuff, the majority of them I did take advantage of, but I think, things like networking. I networked a little bit, but I think that's a tool. If I would have focused on it a little bit more and utilized that a little bit more, it makes you a more powerful person, and not necessarily being in those moments and understanding where I was, and like, okay, I had to get to this point to where everybody's not going to make it, but the guys who don't make it, everybody's going to be a professional at something.
Yes, sir.
So getting that, in college, you're not really looking at it like that. Like I said, I had to grow to that point, but overstanding it now, that's what I would tell my younger self, man. Just enjoy the moments, man. Take advantage of the opportunities and network, man, and just network with people, man, because you never know, where people are going to end up, man, over a period of time, man. Guys, you see, and sports, it has to end at some point, So
Yes, sir.
the guy, you may spend 10 years playing in the NFL, and may a college classmate, may spent 10 years either developing his own business or 10 years working his way up through another business. Now he may be a CEO at a top company. Now you need, something to do after your career is over, because you got to do something. You can't just, sit there and spend money all day. You get bored, you'll go crazy, but you need something else to do, after you retire from the game. So having those connections and having that network to allow you to be able to pick and choose and explore and, experience different things, man, is something that's, I think is very, very valuable, man. And that's one thing that sports gives you, man, is that networking power, man, because you're meeting people and joining with guys from all over, man. So
my younger self, and I would invest in me even more. I was in high school. I dedicated myself to my sports and everything. I dedicated to my education, but I would even dedicate it even more. I say that because these kids have it so easy. We didn't have it that easy when we were, we didn't have all these camps. We didn't have all these back and things like that. So we took it upon ourselves and got with our friends to go do more. So I think I would have even worked even harder on that level. But I would when I made it to the league, I would have invest my money even better in different things. And you think about it, when I was coming out, we didn't really have too many people. My parents didn't know nothing about
just being, a first round draft pick on the team. Obviously that was the first year, coming in, being one of the guys that, some players looked up to or saw as, just an influential individual, I guess, out on the field or in the locker room in my own way. And then once I made that transition over time, I didn't meet any type of challenges from other individuals. I was so on fire, and I was hungry for information. I was hungry for the knowledge. I was hungry for, what I was learning through the word, through an individual, through a lifestyle, and I knew that that's what I was wanting. Because when there's something that I see and I like, I go at it hard. Once I figured out, I go at it hard, and so I dove deep into biblical things, scripture things, and I wanted to make sure that my lifestyle was reflective of that as well. So I was that guy that brought the Bible in the locker room, in the shower, everywhere I went. I was that individual, and so I didn't really get any kickback. I think I was more of an influence to others, really, during that time. So I didn't think too much about what people thought. It was just, this is just what it is, and I carried that thing with me everywhere I went, really. And I remember playing with the Indianapolis Colts, and had my Bible with me. And one of the players was like, "Hey, you take that everywhere you go, don't you?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I remember that quick conversations and that I had with that individual. But it showed me that people watching you, But I was just locked into my own zone.
You know what's fun? Hey, before we go, I just want to say again, thank you guys for just giving us a little bit of your time. This particular setup is different than how we normally operate, which is fine. I always love to mix it up. That way, if you find yourself here more often than once, you won't get bored from figuring that you know how and what we're getting ready to do next. Again, reaching out to you guys, if you've listened to today's content and you like what you hear and you feel as though you have something you would like to share with our crowd, our listeners, trust me, if I get enough, I'll tell you what, here's a challenge. If I can get 4 to 6 men to share some stories wrapped around things they know now, they wish they knew when they were younger, and they use that as a catalyst for encouraging and building young men, I promise you I will air another episode by Saturday. Can we do that? I'm putting this challenge out to all those who are listening to send me an audio clip wrapped around things you know now that you could use to encourage your younger self, or i.e. some of these younger men, and let's do another one of these episodes. Until next time, this is Anthony Mitchell, host of the Endzone Club Podcast, and I thank you for your time.